All right, you guys, it's the Hey Frase podcast. Paul's in New York, so it's a girls' show. Coming up, have you ever been fat shamed by your doctor? I think it happened to me. Plus, wearing hoop earrings. Is it cultural appropriation? All that's next. Pacers running. We love working with them. And also, if you're interested in a running podcast that's great and funny too, Pace the Nation is their podcast, which comes out every single week. Also, if you want to find a location to buy your new runners or your new jogging, walking shoes, run pacers.com to find the location near you. And Crystal City Bid. We love working with them. And you can warm up fall weekends every Friday this month at Fridays at the Fountain in Crystal City with delicious beer and wine offerings and live entertainment. More details, go to crystalcity.org.
All right. Hey. All right. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Now I'm just waiting for the chorus, Sarah.
Wait.
Go.
What's the phrase that you hear every day?
Hey, phrase. What's the phrase that you hear every day? Hey, phrase. What's the phrase that you hear every day?
Uh-oh, it's
hey,
your part.
Phrase. What's the phrase that you hear?
Done.
Tune in, yeah, you gotta tune in. Sarah Fraser on the mic and she about to begin. Co-host with the most power, looking fleet. Take it from me, you should be listening.
Live from the nation's cap.
Culture at its best, no need a second guess. Separated from the rest, entertaining nonetheless. Many topics to address. Sarah, she's so glamorous, the number one hostess.
Hi, you guys.
How you doing?
Hi, AJ.
How you doing?
How you doing?
How you doing?
AJ is co-hosting the podcast today. Welcome to the Hey Frase podcast. There is no Paul Wharton. Paul is... we don't even
Bye.
know. Bye. Paul is up in New York. So AJ has been kind enough to come back. You actually had left. You were leaving. You were like on your way to Ocean City.
Just kidding. Back here.
Co-host your own show. So you're going to be with
Thanks.
us. AJ is the amazing intern that you heard for many months doing news and pop culture with us, and she has just created this amazing career. I mean, by the way, Paul and I are taking credit for all of your careers. I don't know if you know
Oh,
that.
100%. I credit you guys in every little due to Sarah Fraser and Paul Wharton. Thank you. I give my thanks.
Because not only that, Irene, you guys probably remember Irene, the intern. She's now started a cookie company that has all kinds of really extreme sayings like "fuck you" on the cookies and all this stuff. So
Eat my cookie.
Eat my cookie.
Yeah, all those
So
cookies.
Irene's Kitchen, you can follow her blog, and she's like having great success. So we take credit for that too. We're like, look, this girl went to Hollywood. Now she's making cookies.
You should charge her a little fee every month. Like, thanks to us, that's where you are today. So you're welcome.
So thank you for coming back and filling in.
Of course. Wouldn't miss it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a lot. You were at Paul's party this past weekend.
Wasn't I? And wasn't it an event of the season?
It was. It was great. It was great to celebrate his 40th.
It was, yeah.
I was really happy for Paul because he was very in his element.
He was so happy. I got to meet his mom, all of his friends. It was a really, really cute event.
I know. And this
so
is what
fun.
I want to ask him because, hopefully he won't listen to this podcast.
He'll miss this week, but
I was walking in and my arch nemesis, Omarosa, was walking out. And I don't know, you weren't here at the time, but Omarosa at one point was a special guest for our live show. And then shortly after that, we made some comments about Omarosa on this show that she threatened to sue us over. And what? Yes. And it sort of got patched over, but not really. And Omarosa was at the party, and I was shocked because I'm not sure. I think I know Omarosa and Paul have been friends for many, many years, but I think things had been difficult because of the political climate and everything. So I'll be curious to find out how that went for him.
I heard there was tears.
Yeah, me too. So I'm dying to see that. And not
Gotta
see that.
hear all that.
I don't need to be there. I don't need to be sued in real life.
Maybe hear the aftermath,
Hear the aftermath.
Third party
Good
reaction.
enough.
Right, yeah.
So anyway, you are awesome to jump in here, and we have so many things to get to on the show. A lot of stories to talk about. Also, Melina from Pure Romance is coming. If you haven't been to a Pure Romance party, I went to one a couple years ago. And essentially, Pure Romance, they do a lot more than sell love toys and sex toys, but that's essentially kind of what they do. But they also are about educating you on, your health. Now, I'm just going to ask you here, do you own a vibrator or any sort of toys, AJ?
So I was drunk one night on wine, and my friend and I were like, let's totally go buy sex toys. Mind you, I'm 23. This was last year.
Okay.
So I'm a little late to the game. But yeah, so I own a little baby, little purple vibrator. Mom, please listen to this podcast.
Yeah, I know. My mom too. I don't want her to listen either. I told her that Melina was coming on, and my mom was like, "What kind of show are you guys doing these days?" I'm like, "Mom,
Is she a cute little Jewish mom?
No, she
What
actually,
kind of show is this?
no, she actually sounds nothing like that. What kind of show? No,
What are you
that's actually.
doing here? I'm schwitzing.
Yeah, she's completely not Jewish, and she's has a Maine accent. So it's more like, "Hey, yeah, what kind of show are you doing?" Like, Mom,
I love it. I
like
love it.
one that's for young people. And she's like, "I'm not into all those toys and lotions." Again, she's Jewish. What happened? So anyhow, but no, over the years, I have bought some love toys myself. They're amazing. I don't know how you do it without them. Everybody should own them. Every woman should own them. I can't imagine being with a guy who doesn't really like them. I told you this earlier. You know, when I told Dan about this show today too, he said, "Please don't bring up my name." So I planned on bringing up his name the entire time.
Right.
But they're amazing. You should buy one.
And that's our plug for the. Yeah. No, I mean,
That's our plug for the interview.
exactly. I don't even know. So, although I own one, it's not really well incorporated into my sex life. So yeah, it's going to be great to talk to her because, you know, you got to hear all the things that she has to say. And I'm totally one to learn from these women. They come in and don't they like people that like me because I'm totally like a clean slate.
Yeah.
I have no idea what the hell I'm doing.
They can teach you like how to actually be doing vaginal health. And I mean, you're like in a good place. I mean, I'm getting to the age
Right.
I probably should be using those Kegel balls to like make sure my uterus doesn't fall out. But you know,
The tightening lotions.
Yeah, yeah, I need all those, you know. So anyhow, so we're gonna get to that. A couple of things too that happened over the weekend. I want your opinion about. I'm sort of on the fence. You know, I went to a new doctor. I'm trying out some new doctors because you know I'm plant-based. So I thought, oh hey, I'll go to a plant-based doctor's office. You know,
Love it.
and try that. Well, I love it too, except for I feel like you know they shamed me a lot more than I'm used to. You know, I'm used to going to the regular doctors that don't really know a lot about health. Like, they really only can save you, like, in an emergency.
Oh, yeah. This is why I'm scared to go to the doctors because I don't want them to tell me, like, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong.
Well, this is the first time I ever went, and the guy was like, "So what do you do for exercise?" I was like, "Oh, I love to get out and power walk." He's like, "Power walk? That's what I tell my 80-year-old patients to do." I mean, when are you sweating? Like, when are you coming in and your shirt's drenched in sweat? And I'm thinking, like, never. Like,
On a really hot day, and I'm like,
"Excuse me, sir. I have bad enough BO just walking around. I don't need to work up a sweat. Like, my BO is so bad."
what is he trying to say? Like, go for like a 10K every day or something?
He basically was telling me that, you know, I need to. He shamed me about my workouts. You know, I enjoy a casual walk. He said that's really not good enough. That your heart's a muscle that needs to be worked out. Okay, fine, fair enough, right? And then he was like, "Have you got a flu shot?"
Oh, God, the flu shot.
And I said, "No, actually, I've never had one." He goes, "Well, you know, would you wear a seatbelt when you got into a car?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, of course, you know." And he's like, "Well, the flu shot is like a seatbelt for your body." And I was like, "Okay, you know what this is like?" He said, "Would you walk around and not, you know, take care of your body?" And I was like, "No." It was like one of those. I know he was one of those doctors too, like where they ask you
like
the
it's kinda
question.
condescending.
He
Like,
was. He was a
This is
little
rhetorical
condescending.
question. Yeah.
Mhm. And so I said, "All right, fine, I'll get the flu shot." So I got the flu shot. I have this bruise on my arm. Look at this. It looks like someone bit me. And it's not from Dan. I'm just going to see how many times I can bring
Sarah
up
and Dan got
Dan.
a little rough this weekend. I love it.
This is not from Dan.
It's a flu shot.
And yesterday I was so tired. I had to come home from like working at Fox 5 and
Yeah.
I just had to completely lay on the couch. It was crazy. I never felt that way. I mean, it felt like I was almost had mono. I don't even.
Wow.
But I've never had mono. I don't know what that really feels like. But I thought, hey, you know what? If someone had mono, it was like this.
Right, exactly.
It was just.
Did he warn you about this?
Oh, he told me, "Oh, it'll be fine." And then I put it on Instagram, and people were like, "Yeah, you shouldn't be having that reaction." I was like, "Oh God, of course."
I'd probably go back to the doctor if I were you.
The last thing that he said to me too, so I told him I'm plant-based, you know, 4 days a week. I said, "I'm
Right.
feeling great." And he's like, "Well, you'd feel a lot better if you went to 7." And I thought,
Oh my God, this guy is ridiculous. What else can I do, sir? I don't
ridiculous.
understand.
I was like, Okay, is there anything else you want to shame me about here? Like, I don't know, my finances. I mean, oh God. Anyway, so judgmental.
Did this guy look super healthy? Was he like Superman?
Yeah, he definitely did.
Ugh,
Like,
damn it.
It's definitely an office where everyone there is like borderline emaciated because all they eat is like vegetables and everything. And then he goes,
Can't stand those people.
but if you still want to have meat, we'll still accept you as a patient. Like, it was one of those, I almost felt like it's one of those clubs where like.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Join
So
us
anyway.
or die. Like, who are these people?
Join us or
My
die.
God.
So that was my weekend. And then also, I'll talk, I want to find out what's going on with you. Is there a topic in your life you want to chat about before we get into these news stories?
Oh God, it'll come to me. But as of per now, yeah, just career per usual. Just, am I making the right choices? Am I doing everything correct? Who's to say this is where I'm supposed to be at this age? You know what I mean?
Are you worried about the new radio gig that you've taken?
I am, only because I'm moving again. Pretty much every 9 or 8 months, I've been on the go to a new job, and it's in different locations. So I was in a small little town, then I moved back to DC with family, and now moving back to Ocean City, and it's like another small town kind of. And it's like, am I making the right choice? I don't know. And my boyfriend moved here, and I'm leaving him. I'm like, peace out, deuces, I'll see you later. I'm now leaving him, and well, obviously that's not the biggest issue, but it's like, am I making the right choice at 23? I don't know. But I think, you have helped me as my mentor, and I think I'm pretty sure I am.
Oh, you totally are. You totally are. And actually, it was funny when we were at Paul Wharton's party. I told you Sammy Simpson, my longtime friend, and he was my first radio boss.
Yeah.
And he met you, and I was like, I'm so proud of her. She's got this radio gig that she's going to Ocean City, and I was like, it's such a great start for her. She'll probably be there a year, and then she'll have another job. And he's like, oh, I don't even think she'll be there a year. He's like, she totally has it. So
wow,
I'm like, that's how I feel about
Love
you.
to hear
I'm
it.
like,
thank you,
because all you need is that confidence, like to just get on the microphone and be able to like make magic out of shit. Like that's basically what DJs do. They're
pretty
like,
much. Yeah. We just act like we're super happy all the time. We're like, this is amazing. Yeah.
I was just listening to some radio jocks like the other day in a lift, and they were just completely talking about the dumbest crap.
Absolutely nothing.
So Trump said something else. And then you're like, oh God, here we go. And then they're like, all right, Demi Lovato.
But like, I want to listen to them. I don't know. They're talking about nothing. Exactly. Yeah.
But my point was, he managed to make like nothing about Trump, Demi Lovato, and giving away $500 sound intriguing. I was like, hey, you know what?
All in 15 minutes. I'm ready to go.
This guy wasn't bad. So I'm excited for you.
Thank you. Yeah. It's going to be a new chapter, and I will report back.
And by the way, you never know. Like, you think that you, even, I'm going to tell you, even when you're at my stage, you think you're making like the right decisions or you know what you want. And it's so hard to know. And
exactly.
Especially in this time where everyone's giving advice, everyone's on social media. They're like, I built my business like this. I did this. You're like, what do I do?
And social media honestly doesn't help me, because it's just, there's so many people creating content, and it's like, well, who's going to look at mine?
It definitely, it's hard to stand out.
Exactly.
It really, really is.
So my motto is just be nice, live every day like I'm not going to be cliche like that. Live every day like it's your last. Get out of here. No, but be nice. And I think everything really does pan out and it works out. And I've really tried to live like that. And so far, a lot of opportunities have arisen. And
you just have to trust your talent. And I always think too, it's so much I think I've told you this, but one of my favorite sayings is by the actor who's dead now, David Carradine. But he always used to say that there are no failures in Hollywood, people that give up too soon, basically.
I love it.
And I love that, because what you'll find is, no matter what, you're usually not the most talented person. I'm not usually the most talented person in the room. I'm never the person that gets picked for the job, but I will hang in there longer than anyone else. And that's the person that wins.
Stick around. Yeah, perseverance. Eventually, someone's going to throw you a bone.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And did you ever watch the Joan Rivers documentary, A Piece of Work?
I love her, but I never got to see that. I gotta watch it. But she is...
Anyone chasing a dream should completely watch that documentary, because there's a woman, and she would say throughout the documentary, even when you've made it, even when lightning has struck you once, right? You are still hot and cold. She really documented this time in her career where she couldn't get anyone to call her back, even in her 60s and 70s. Like, she was doing little podunk clubs, but she hung in there. Then she won Apprentice. Then she was red hot again. Then E wanted her back. So, and she was 81 or 82 when she died. But you have to have incredible grit.
You really do. It sounds exhausting, but keep working.
That's why I'm a little mole rat. You just can't get rid of me. All right, we got so many stories that we want to talk about, so we'll get to those. And then I got a ton of listener email. You can always email me, sarah@heyfrase.com. Some people were not happy about comments that we made last week in regards to Harvey Weinstein and talking about our own experiences with sexual harassment in the workplace. I'm blaming it on Paul because he's not here, really. I'm just kidding. So I'm going to read those to you, and we'll talk about the hashtag trend #MeToo, because it was wonderful. I felt really blessed. But some people actually just sent me unsolicited. They said, "Hey, Sarah, I think because you always are so open and you share things and you're willing to talk, here's my story of Me Too if you want to share it." And I was like, wow. So I'm going to share a couple of those. Some of the big news stories, though, that are happening around the country. I'm fascinated by this, and I've been following this. If you guys have seen, you know who Jesus Campos is? Who was the security guard at MGM Grand, the mass shooting that just happened. And he apparently was the security guard that came to Stephen Paddock's room,
right,
and was apparently shot by Stephen Paddock.
Right.
Okay, so very, very strange couple of days that have been happening with this guy. Jesus went missing. He was supposed to show up to a press conference 2 days ago in Vegas. Doesn't show at the press conference. Then all of a sudden shows up on Ellen. Doesn't show. So nobody knows why, except for now, of course, the internet has taken this and has a bunch of conspiracy theories that, in fact... And the other part that's very off is the timeline keeps changing of this whole thing, right? Like Jesus,
which creeps me out. Yeah,
was apparently shot like before Stephen Paddock went on this rampage, but then it took 9 minutes for police and security to get to Jesus. But then they changed their timeline and said, no, maybe it was more like 2 or 3 minutes. So nobody now knows exactly what's going on with this security guard. But he appeared on Ellen yesterday to basically just talk about his recovery and how he's doing. A lot of people, though, feel that was kind of a staged...
How did Ellen get this guy? What...
Ellen's kind of fluffy, right? So, and I like Ellen. I'm an Ellen fan, but she's not really like a hard... I thought Jesus would have shown up on Megyn Kelly.
Right,
you know what I mean? But he showed up on Ellen. Here's a little clip of what he has to say.
Rapid fire.
CNN kind of did a snippet of this. So they're just saying Mandalay Bay security guard Jesus Campos went on the Ellen DeGeneres show.
You didn't even know he shot through this door, right?
Yeah, from behind the door. I took cover. I felt the burning sensation. I went to go lift my pant leg up and I saw the blood. That's when I called it in on my radio that shots have been fired.
So a lot of people are just saying this story is very, very strange, and strange that he decided his first place to go was Ellen. And a lot of people feel that MGM Grand are the people behind orchestrating a very calculated PR campaign for Jesus Campos, which I will say it does seem a bit strange that he wouldn't show up to a press conference and then all of a sudden he shows up on Ellen. I don't know. And I don't want to feed into conspiracy theories, especially around something like a tragedy like the mass shootings, but I just find it odd. And I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to control what he says so that the message is clear. I'm not sure.
But you never want to... Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe he was just so affected by it and he was scared to show up at the press conference. But then Ellen, like, why would you... Maybe Ellen is more of a less serious type of deal because it's Ellen, but...
Well, Ellen wasn't... I feel like Ellen isn't going to really grill him. Like, he went on, he did like a diagram of kind of what happened, gave his own time account, and then it was like all good. So... I don't know. But anyway, very interesting set of developments. I also put this out on my Facebook yesterday, and this got a really strong reaction. And then when the four of us, because I'm going to also introduce you to our new intern, Leslie, who is here. So I want Leslie and Joelle, you guys know Joelle, to weigh in on this, because I put it on my social media, and a lot of people reacted. But hoop earrings are now being criticized as cultural appropriation. So hoop earrings... I own several pairs, so I feel really bad about this. This is not good. This is not good for my wardrobe. This is why
I love you, Sarah. I knew it. Oh my gosh, I love it.
So hoop earrings. We're just talking about like the gold hoop earrings, especially like the big gold hoop earrings. Recently, some bloggers, and these have been getting more attention, have essentially said, and Ruby Pivot is a Latino writer who has suggested that hoop earrings should be seen in the same light as braids and Native American headdress. Quote, hoops exist across many minority groups as symbols of resistance, struggle, strength and identity, she wrote for Vice.com. I was 3 years old when my parental grandparents visited Australia for the first time, the gift of hoop earrings in tow. Much to my grandmother's horror, my ears were unpierced during her visit. That changed. I began to navigate the world as a first-generation Australian of mixed heritage, same small gold hoops dangling from my earlobes. And then she goes on to say, in recent years, they've been given new lease of life by edgy, young, stylish women, many of whom are white. In the grand scheme of things, hoop earrings may seem insignificant, Pivot says, but seeing white women wearing them is unnerving. White girls did not start the, quote, trend of oversized hoop earrings, and yet they're the ones being praised for donning the edgy style. Meanwhile, she says women of color who wear them face racial stereotypes of the assumption that they're participating in a disposable trend. She explains, she goes on to explain that a style that links so heavily with identity is not taken seriously until it is seen on a white woman. So I wanted to know how you guys all felt about this, because when we were talking, Leslie felt like it was cultural appropriation. And I have to say, it was very divided on my Facebook page. People were like, oh my God, I can't believe they're trying to make this, an issue. Yeah. I don't even know. And then people were talking about the origin of it, which a lot of people felt like it was an Egyptian origin from thousands of years ago that they were wearing hoop earrings. So what's your immediate take, AJ? Do you feel like it's cultural appropriation?
I don't necessarily think it has to go that deep. I mean, coming from I'm Hispanic, but I never would consider it, to be this type of debate, whether it's cultural appropriation. I think like J-Lo, when you think of J-Lo, you're like, oh, strong Hispanic woman, where's the hoops? But I'm not going to say a white person can't be wearing these. You know what I mean? I feel white girls, take off your hoops, stop calling yourself mommy, and start respecting our existence. Okay, see, these are the quotes that you just have to be like, are you serious?
They're in the article. That's one of the ones in the article. Women of color from all walks of life and cultures have been wearing hoops long before white models whose careers were born of nepotism worn them in Instagram posts.
You know what? I say more power to them. They look cute in them, and just give, comes from a Hispanic heritage, but then they're saying it's from Egypt, so
it's hard to know where the origin is. Sounds like the cultural appropriation is now coming because people like Taylor Swift in various videos are wearing large gold hoop earrings, and a lot of people feel like it's perfectly acceptable and seen as trendy, but others feel like it's cultural appropriation. All right,
yeah, let's hear what they have to say.
Everybody loves hearing from Joelle because she's the Oreo.
Oh, great.
You'll forever be deemed that. She felt white on the inside, black on the outside, and Paul was giving her side eye forever.
Get over it, Paul.
Okay. Yeah, that's what my brother said. My brother was really upset at that episode. He's like, you guys are not supposed to be telling people how to feel, and you were telling Joelle how she should feel. He was really wound up on your side. Okay, as a black woman, what do you think? Cultural appropriation or not?
I don't think it is. I wear hoops.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not fully black. I'm mixed.
Mm-hmm.
My mom wears hoops. But who cares? You could wear hoops. I can wear hoops. That woman over there is wearing hoops. They're earrings. They're earrings.
Right.
Who cares? They're just earrings.
Now, when I'm
getting so nervous. I don't know what to wear anymore or what to do. Honest to God, I don't.
But is that the
who
same
am I going to offend today? Yeah,
is that
exactly.
the same thing with how black girls have braids?
Right.
Now they have, but you see now white girls have braids. Is that the same thing?
Yeah, people hate that.
But is that the same thing?
I always want to do.
I want to get cornrows.
I really want to get braids. And
Who
people are
cares?
like,
If you like the hairstyle, rock the hairstyle. You
Right.
like those earrings, rock the earrings. Who cares?
oh God, it's so hard to know what to do. I wish we could
I
all
think people are just too uptight with everything, and they need to calm down.
It's very scary. Leslie is Puerto Rican, and she actually said you felt like it is cultural appropriation, right? So Leslie is our new intern. She's going to be doing video work for us. So every video now that you see is Leslie's amazing creation. She's adorable. And so tell me this. So you feel, why do you think that this is cultural appropriation? Tell us what you think. And get really close to that mic. These two to me.
Well, I think that I was born in Puerto Rico, and I've seen that everywhere in Puerto Rico, and it started to get like a really good. It started to be like a really good trend when Selena movie came out, and then everybody was wearing them. I love her too. And then basically, I don't mind them wearing them because, like she said, of course, if you want to wear it. You know, be fierce. But I don't know. I mean,
you can be honest. If you hate it and you don't think that white, it doesn't offend me.
I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea. Maybe I can see it as the way that they're like supporting us in a way, like Hispanic culture.
Right.
So I can see it in that way.
Okay, but it's fine for white women to stop wearing them.
But at any point, if you wanted to stop wearing hoop earrings, I wouldn't say
I don't know what the hell I'm going to wear. I mean, this is really bad. It's getting back to, like, I'm going to have to just wear a muumuu. Like, I feel like nobody...
I love muumuus. My mom wears them.
Sarah, you got to throw out all your dashikis and your...
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you. Okay, Joelle, nobody is claiming the muumuu. Nobody.
And then there's this thing about Chola. You know, we were talking about, like, the Puerto Rican women.
I don't even know what Chola is. What is a Chola? What is that? Leslie?
Yeah, we need the terminology from
what's a Chola?
In Puerto Rico, it's a jal. And a jal is basically a chola too. And it's basically a person that is very cafre, which means that it's very...
First of all, I haven't understood the last
word in Spanish. I know.
She doesn't speak Spanish.
But I mean,
I'm so white.
No, I know, but I'm trying to.
She's like, it's a doula, and I'm like, no, I don't know.
Which is translated as.
Well, in Puerto Rico, like jals are like people that are ghetto, basically.
Oh, okay,
So
gotcha.
in Puerto Rico, we call them cafre, but here it's ghetto people. So that's a trend for like people that are ghetto. In
Got
Puerto
it.
Rico.
Okay, and in Maine, you're white trash.
Wow.
Or redneck.
Okay.
Now I know your language. Okay.
There, we figured it out.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you. Anyway, you can weigh in on that. It's on my Facebook page now. So a lot of people had very, very strong feelings about that. Also, how would you feel about this, AJ? If Iggy started telling you that he was just sharing a bed with some of his bro friends, would you be okay with that? Because
Let me tell you, look. I'm going to have to break this down Paul style. Look.
Yeah.
I would tell him to get out of my basement.
Oh, so that's where
Which is where he lives, my basement. No, I'm totally not down with that. I'd be like, are you confused? Do you... Like, what are they doing in the bed? You know, that's a little creepy. I mean,
apparently not. Pacific Standard Magazine did a new study, and they interviewed 30 straight undergraduate men. So these guys are under the age of 23 years old. Yeah. They said that now they feel less judged by bros than women. They said that it's much easier to resolve conflict, talk about their past issues with their male friends versus their girlfriends. And a few of them even went on to say that they cuddled or had slept in the same bed as their male friends.
Grow a pair and get out. Like, what did they... I feel very uncomfortable by this.
Some of the men that they interviewed said they felt like it was like having a girlfriend, but not a girlfriend.
A girlfriend with a penis, maybe. All right, that sounds a little bit homosexual to me. I'm sorry.
They said that there are significant, or the study says that this is actually really worrisome for women. These men perceive women to be the primary regulators of their behavior, and this caused disdain for them as a whole. In some instances, one researcher said, researchers found that men spoke of women they knew in generally negative terms and said they thought women held long grudges and were emotionally unpredictable.
You're dating the wrong girl. Clearly, she's a bitch.
Oh. You think so? I'm sort of emotionally unpredictable, I think.
Oh, well, that too. I'm always like, am I just like the coolest girlfriend? Like, I'm just so chill. And then I'm like, I go crazy off of one thing. You know what I mean? But I don't mean to. And then I realize I'm like, okay, that was a little bit crazy. I'm back to me.
Regroup.
But
Regroup, yeah.
Get all my bearings together, regroup. But I don't think my boyfriend needs to go and like cuddle with his best friend to feel better about it.
Do you think it's an alarming trend? Okay, now obviously you're really young. I'm a little bit older, so I've dated other guys. But do you think that men are... I think the point of this is that men are feeling like women that are not being open to their emotions. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think men are saying, hey, look, I'm trying to become more emotional, but when I do, these women hold grudges, they're judgmental. You know, they say they want me to be more emotional. I start crying, then they think I'm a pussy. Like, oh, you think that's bad? Oh. I love it when like a man cries. I'm always like, Dan, cry about our love. Like, I want you to be so in love with me that you start crying.
Let's just down a bottle of wine and cry about our feelings together. Yeah. I mean, I'm not...
I really
Joelle's not into it. I definitely like to see his sensitive side a little bit. I like to know that there is that side to him and I can come to him with things. And I hope that people have a relationship where the guy can come to the woman as well. I mean, that means you guys have a strong relationship.
I think it's hard for people. I think it's hard for both men and women to be emotional and vulnerable with each other and be on the same page.
Right.
Yeah. I went to an emotional couples therapist. It was like the best thing I ever did. It was amazing.
So did you go with Dan, or was it just for yourself? Okay.
No, Dan and I went. It was like phenomenal.
Wow.
I would totally say, I think, because here's the thing is like you never learn these things like in real life. You never learn, and especially if you come from a parents that were dysfunctional or weren't emotional with each other or never touched each other. It's like, how do you know how to then have an affectionate, like loving relationship? You don't. You have to unlearn everything your parents basically did.
That is so true.
The emotional couples therapist was unbelievable because she really taught us how she really breaks down what each of you needs. And then every argument that you ever have, whether it's a fight over money or a jealousy, is really coming from emotional hurt. So she makes you slow down and go, okay, why are you really angry about that? You know, what is it?
Yeah.
What from your past was triggered? Like if you were cheated on from the past and you like have to work and talk through that. And it's amazing. She like, I call her the relationship saver. Like she just can save any relationship. I mean, you know, within reason. If you're with somebody that's emotionally, physically abusive, like obviously, you know, you need
These are not going to work out.
Right. But if there's like healthy parts of that relationship, she's so good.
I always attribute my prudeness to my dad, who is super not touchy or anything. I've never really seen my parents kiss except for maybe their like 30th wedding anniversary.
Really?
They obviously hug each other and obviously love each other. They've been together. They just celebrated the 33rd anniversary, but my dad never really hugged me. He was just always there for me, gave me rides to school and showed me love in other ways, but it was never this like love relationship. Like even to this day when he hugs me, he's like, okay, he like pats me. He's like, I love you. So my mom is always like, Benito, hug her. She's gonna, and you know, to this day, like I'm so weird with boys almost. Like it took me a really long time to get that comfort level with male, like these like, you know, isn't that so funny that it really does stem from your past or like your family relationships?
It totally does. And like my parents were the opposite. So they were like always making out and my dad was always trying to touch my mom. So now
I love it.
I love it with Dan all the time and he finds it so inappropriate.
Public, doesn't Dan hate PDA?
Yes, he hates PDA.
PDA.
And I always try to make out with him in public because my parents were always doing that. Like my parents, like at Christmas time, we'd be trying to put on a Christmas play for my parents and they'd be making out. And I was like, get off each other and watch our fucking play. I was like 7.
You and little Sethy were like, guys.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it.
Poor Seth. I made him be like some shepherd that like, you know, he was like a Sherpa for me or something like, to, you know, bringing
What did
all
you
my
play?
bags.
What were you, like the star of the show?
I was like some princess or whatever and he was like my Sherpa. I was like, you know,
you're going to be the sheep.
And here's the dog, you know, like, and that was like my horse I rode in on or whatever. But my parents never saw any of my films. They were making out.
All right, somewhere.
So now I'm always trying to make out with Dan and like grab his crotch and he gets so uncomfortable. It's like,
and you're like, I blame this on my parents. It's not me.
I do. Isn't it wild what your parents give you? Yeah, mine have made me a sexual deviant. You know, it's like the worst. I don't even know what to do.
You little horny.
We can move on to Joel.
I am so.
Joel hands me the one of the love toys here. All right, we have two other stories, like serious stories, and then I want to talk about Pink. The singer Pink came out and actually, you know what? We should talk about that one right now because it ties into these relationships. I thought Pink was so honest this week when she came out and basically talked about her relationship with Carey Hart, who's been her longtime husband.
By the way, I love those two. They're just so cute together, and he's hot, she's beautiful, and they make it work.
Oh my God, they so make it work. She says, quote, he's a good man. He's a good dad. He's just the kind of dad I thought he'd be, and then some, Pink says. And then I'll look at him and go, I never liked you. There's nothing I like about you. We have nothing in common. I don't like any of the shit you like. I don't ever want to see you again. Then 2 weeks later, I'm like, things are going so good. Love you.
How many times do you say that about Dan?
Every other week. This is my emotion.
Literally, this is me. Yeah. This speaks to me.
But why don't people ever tell you that? Like, why don't people ever tell you this is like a normal relationship? I feel the same way about Dan.
I could not agree more. Yeah, it's like sometimes like we literally have nothing in common.
Now, how do you feel? And Pink went on to say that, too, like she and Carey Hart have even gone up to a year and not had sex. Do you think these two are on the path to divorce? Like, do you think that is normal? Or do you think, like, it shouldn't be that erratic?
Well, it's because you always hear these horror stories of, like, well, if he ain't getting it at home, then he's going somewhere else to look for it. So you always think, like, oh, my husband's, you know, I got to give it to him. Or, like, or what was that thing that Paul, it was like, don't ever leave your man hungry. Or so you have to, like, make sure you have sex before he leaves the house so he's not looking at, I mean, that's crazy. I go through breaks.
Paul.
Right. So I think a year is a little extreme, but I definitely don't think it's strange if you guys are both super busy. Also, they're in the entertainment business.
Yeah,
Things are
that's
so
true.
hectic. I mean, I'd be a little worried, though, after a year.
But I do think it's hard to always be in love with someone. I think
Right.
you do have moments. I mean, to live with someone and then to be with them for long term, plus have kids with them. I mean, it really is like highs and lows.
I mean, I'm 23 with no kids, and I barely have time for sex, so I don't know when y'all be doing it. When do people
You
find
don't?
time?
Oh my God, all the time. I could be having sex all the time. I'm always trying to get.
I love this.
I'm always trying to get. I just tried to have sex with Dan before I came here to the studio, and he was like, "No, you have to go." I was like, "Oh, but it's
Get
all-
out of the house.
yeah.
Oh my God. Do your parents
Thank
ever
you,
try to
Sue.
talk to you? Because my parents would be like, well, one time I got super ballsy and I asked my mom, like, how many times do you and dad do it? Like, I need to know what's normal. And my mom was like, well. And then I was like, wait a minute. That was actually the worst question I could have ever. Shh, don't tell me. You can't.
Wait,
I
but
can't talk about
were
it.
you curious after that? I want to know how many
After
times.
that, I was so curious. And I, to this day, I can't ask.
I
just
wonder how
can't
many
ask.
times they have sex. Now I
Right.
want to know. We ought to call her and have her on the show.
But who knows? What is normal for any relationship? Everybody's different. Every couple's different. You and Dan probably, it sounds like you guys got a great sex life going. I mean,
No, I want more. No, we do. I really can't
Yeah.
complain. Yeah, he's
That's
like,
awesome.
he's really good. Yeah. I mean, as long as he keeps doing what I say, we're all set. Anyway, all right, look, I know many of you, you guys know I'm obsessed. I love documentaries. Did anybody here, I was asking Leslie and Joelle, I don't think either one of them saw The Keepers. You ever see The Keepers documentary on Netflix? AJ?
No.
It was essentially about a murdered nun back in the 60s in Baltimore, and it was about a priest that they believed did it. But anyhow, they ending up uncovering this like terrible sex abuse kind of cover-up from the Catholic Church in Baltimore. And one of the things in the film, one of the people in the documentary is a delegate named C.T. Wilson, who stood before a Senate committee weighing a bill to give people who were abused as children longer to file a lawsuit, and shared his story of being repeatedly sexually assaulted as a child with his colleagues for the very first time. This was in the documentary. And if you might remember in the documentary, for those of you, I know many of you listening to this podcast have watched that documentary, but one of the problems was a lot of people came out and said that this particular priest had sexually abused them, but they couldn't, because of the statute of limitations in the state of Maryland, they could not sue him. They couldn't sue the Catholic Church. They couldn't get any money or even to have the Catholic Church, unless the Catholic Church volunteered, to pay for any mental health counseling. So that actually changed this week, which a lot of people are really thrilled about, because if you remember in the documentary, they had a bill at the end of the session of 2015 that had not been voted on, and it kind of like hung in there, but nothing changed. And then finally, Governor Larry Hogan this week, as the Republican governor, signed the measure into law. Hogan stood and shook Wilson's hand this week, thanking him for his efforts on the bill. People in the room applauded. He went on to say, quote, "It was not my goal to put my personal business out like that, but we're elected for a reason," Wilson said. "You can't come out here and stand back when it gets tough." So he testified. So that statute of limitations is now, they have a much greater window that you can take action if you are sexually abused. And then later, 20 years later, realize that something had happened, you can go back and sue. So good for them. It was
amazing.
something really positive that came from that documentary. And thank you.
Yeah.
Ashley sent that story to me. So I was happy to hear that, because
Something good out of our law system,
yeah,
which sometimes you're always thinking like,
these documentaries are so frustrating, because
Yeah.
you learn like how messed up these laws are, or
Right.
how they just fall through the cracks, and then how much
nobody's
they
checking
impact.
on them, how long it takes to get approved, and then something finally like this happens. It's really big, actually.
Yeah, so really big moment for the Keepers. And if you want to know more about it, you can just Google Hogan signs bill giving sexual abuse victims longer to file suits. So that happened this week. Also, you really liked this story that came out in the New York Times that was about, and I'm like, how do we get this job? But more companies.
That's why I read the article.
I'm like, damn, what do we have to do? Start like a millennial group and then a millennial consulting group?
I'd be down.
More major companies are now putting older employees, they're giving them a mentor, but it's not of another peer, it's of a millennial. So millennials are now mentoring at many big companies their older counterparts. They're helping their older counterparts become more efficient on things like Facebook and, of course, on social media. Young workers, some just out of college, are being pulled into formal corporate programs to give advice to the top ranks of their companies. You think that's a good idea, AJ?
I love it because so much of the time, technology is constantly changing, and a lot of these people, they never really learned it. And it's also hilarious in the article how they talk about millennials even giving texting advice. Like, you can't send 10 emojis at once. That's just like so faux pas. Like, don't do it. I think that's hilarious because it's this whole new generation that we've grown, and we know like the nuances of like what you're supposed to do or what you're not supposed to do. Or, I mean, there's so many websites now that help you with it's all these resources they're missing out on. And so I'm like, how do I become this millennial helper?
I know.
I'll, charge by the hour. Let's go.
This sounds amazing. Companies like MasterCard, Cisco Systems, and Mars have experimented with mentoring programs, and everybody all around says that it's really, really great. It's helped both workers become more flexible, also to understand their industry better.
This builds better relationships and work with the younger people and the older people. You're no longer scared of like your boss. This is awesome.
I think it's really, really great. So anyway, understanding millennials and events like Millennial Week are now bigger festivals that are happening for companies where they're introducing their older counterparts to millennials. I love it. I love being around younger people. Like, you guys are all, oh my God, like 10 years younger? How, 8 years? 7?
I'm 22.
Okay.
Well, 22, 23. Leslie, how old are you?
24.
24.
Okay,
We're babies. 22, 23. Yeah, I love it.
You guys are babies, right? So am I.
So, yes, what is that?
Paul's heading towards 50, but
He's gonna kill you when
he would shave off your eyebrows. He would be like, you.
in your sleep.
I know. Look. I got a couple of emails that I wanted to read, you guys. I love your emails. It's sarah@heyfrase.com. One is from Jen. My name is Jen. I'm a huge fan of the podcast. Love you and Paul. It's something I look forward to every week. He is fabulous. Paul is fabulous. We do love him. I write because I lost my dad a month ago to cancer. He was diagnosed August 13th, passed away on September 10th. Not even a month. He was 81 and I'm now 32, but his older age certainly doesn't make things any easier. I go through these periods where I'm numb, like I realize he's gone, but have no emotions. Then I get random waves of tears. I know that you lost your dad when you were younger. How do you cope? I know everyone is different, of course, but I wanted to get your feedback. I feel like this is normal grieving, but the numbness bothers me. So you guys all have your parents, right? You're very lucky. Yeah. Well, I would just say, Jen, I think you're experiencing it in the right way. It's like sometimes you're not emotional and you almost feel guilty for not being emotional.
Or you're having fun or you're enjoying something.
Right. And then other times you are very upset. And I think, too, it's really hard. If I had a great relationship with my dad. So even now, I still think, I have wonderful memories about him. And the only thing, and I can be very emotional about it very quickly, but I know with my dad, like, he would want it to be all a celebration, So I think you have to remember, if you had a good relationship, which it sounds like, Jen, you do, you're very lucky. So, of course, let the natural emotions come, and you have to grieve. Okay, I mean, I know I sound like a nutsack on this because I have so many therapists, but anyway, but one of my other therapists says, she always says, my other one, Robin, what you resist persists. And I really do believe that. Like, if you don't get emotional about it, if you don't go through the numbness feeling and you don't kind of just let yourself go through days where you don't feel like getting out of bed. And the holidays are so hard, like the first time. You have traditions that your parents have been there for years. So I'm sure this first year is going to suck. Like, his birthday is going to be hard. Thanksgiving is going to be hard. You think about that person. But you have to let that emotion come in. You have to sit with it. And then, everything passes and things get better. So I would say just don't judge yourself. And you never stop thinking about the person. Hopefully it just goes from less numbness and less sadness to more funny and the great times that you had with them.
Exactly. I remember intern Irene, she always had mentioned her dad, and he had passed away. And even though it was 6 years ago, something that really helped her that she always talked about was blogging and writing it and journaling it out. And so write down those good times. And I think it really did help her, and it was very much therapeutic for her. So that's what I have never experienced a death, but that's what she said, and it worked. And it's only been a month, so
it's very.
I mean, this is new for the listener whose father passed a month.
Well, we talked about this too. Me Too was trending very powerful. Melissa Milano was one of the actresses that got this going on Twitter and on Facebook. But actually, another woman, I was schooled on this, actually started this hashtag several years ago, telling stories about sexual harassment. And we got some very powerful stories. I'll kind of summarize one, but then also we got this. And Joelle and AJ, you guys were here for this conversation. Hey, Sarah, as much as I love you and Paul, the opinions that you both shared last week enables predators in the workplace. When it's accepted for someone to do whatever it takes to get ahead in an industry, including offering themselves to others to get what they want, it allows for others to view their actions as normal or acceptable. Being asked or offering oneself to get a job or a paycheck should never be normal. I do love listening to the podcast. Take care, Lanie. So, Lanie, I think you bring up a good point. I think that was, we are kind of a funny comedy show, too. So I think we try to bring some light to a situation. Not that sexual assault in any way, especially what Harvey Weinstein was doing to a lot of these women, was that. But I think, I shared my story. For me, I believe everybody who posted on Me Too this week, 100%. I've witnessed a lot of sexual harassment, I guess I would say. I haven't had anyone put me in such an uncomfortable position that I thought, oh my God, this is really, wow. I've never walked away and gone, oh, I've really done something. And I can't speak for Paul. I know Paul kind of has a different perspective, so maybe I'll bring this up to him next week. I just think, thank you for sharing your story. Certainly we weren't making light of others, and I will tell Paul to stop offering himself up. How do you think that will go? Paul, I'm going to need you to stop.
As you hold this.
As I hold this love toy. So, right. And I think, here's my question to people listening, because this is the part that I wrestle with, is like, I like to have fun in the workplace. We have somebody in that wants to talk about sex toys. We talk about sex. It's always like, how do you balance that but not make people feel uncomfortable? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And when I was in radio, it was sort of like anything goes. We would talk about everything. And so then I'm like, I was a willing participant. So I'm confused.
But everybody has their own, different feel of uncomfortable and comfortable. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So my level of comfortable might be different compared to your level of comfortable. Like maybe, you had a more open experience in your life and your family was all over the place, whereas maybe my family was very closed, and we didn't talk about sex, or we didn't talk anything like that. So I feel like everybody's level of comfortable is different. It's not always going to be the same.
That's a good point. Will you guys please tell me if we make you uncomfortable on the show?
I don't ever get uncomfortable, really. So
I would just like to ask if Paul could slapping my ass.
I know, right? Oh my God. That's a whole nother show. Oh my God. And then really quickly on a serious note, I thought this was really brave of this woman to send. She said, I was 23 years old when I was sexually assaulted in Crystal City in a bar in Arlington, Virginia. I was there to watch a football game, and it was early in the game. I was new to the area. I didn't know anyone. The owner of this so-called bar friended me, and before I knew it, I was woozy. He took me into the employee's bathroom. I essentially woke up and yelled at him and kicked him out of the bathroom. Nothing had happened besides him grabbing me and looking into my eyes and asking how I was feeling. Mind you, I had only had a burger and one beer at that point. 8 hours later, I woke up in my own bed with my pants off. I'd gotten sick everywhere. I have never felt that awful in my life. I drove myself to the hospital in Arlington, and they said that they did not have a rape kit available, and they refused to see me physically assess me. They did sit me down with a therapist who was very kind. He called the cops for me and was literally brokenhearted when he told me that police would not take my testimony. I knew who had done this to me. I had his name, and this asshole even gave me his card. I went to 2 other hospitals to finally find one who had a nurse who took pity on me and gave me a free rape kit. It was $500 that I would have had to end up paying myself. She told me she wanted to make sure that I wasn't hurt. She gave me all of the giant pills to take for anti-HIV, antibiotics, anti-pregnancy pill. I drove myself back home alone in the dark that night, and I was, I had been 20 hours. I hadn't eaten anything, and I felt like death. It's been 14 years, but I can still walk into or walk by that bar, and I start crying, even as I'm writing this email. No one ever listened to me, and when I hear people say about this Harvey Weinstein situation, why didn't the women come forward? I think about how in Arlington, I wasn't allowed to, denied by police. It's obvious by the type of bar that it's a police favorite. And instead of helping me, they said to that therapist, it's been 8 hours. Who knows if the perpetrator took her to DC or Maryland? So therefore, it's outside of our jurisdiction. Well, the bar is in Arlington, and I lived in Arlington, and my car was in Arlington. People in power can stop someone from coming forward. It happened to me. So I just thought that was very brave that she shared her story, and we always hear you, so you can always write. And it's disgusting, and certainly more people have come out and said, look, everybody in Hollywood knew what Harvey Weinstein was doing, and I think that's absolutely true.
So here's why can't you go to the cops? I don't understand why they wouldn't take her testimony. Is it because...
I think they were. I mean, I don't know any more of the details except I wrote her back and I said, "Look, I hear you, and I really thank you for sharing your story."
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's hard to say. I mean, I had a cousin that was sexually assaulted as well, and she told her parents a couple days after it had happened, and I think lots of times it's the time thing. People feel like, well, and I think in general there's this. I don't know why or what it is in our culture, but I think there is a just immediate reaction of like people don't believe you. You know what I mean? It's like, well, have you been drinking? Well, maybe you like
it was your fault.
It's your fault, or are you sure that's right? And I think people in the community or people like a Harvey Weinstein that have power or are respected, I think people give them a lot of benefit of the doubt. They don't,
especially in that story. In that case,
yeah,
their career is riding on the line. It's a
someone like Harvey Weinstein. People are just not going to go against. They weren't. He was way too powerful. Roger Ailes is the same way. Those guys are they're larger than life. They have so much power. I think the Me Too is so great that people are coming out. Reese Witherspoon. And hopefully it begins to just put people on warning that, more women are going to stand up. The problem is when you're in that situation and your career and you get bills to pay or you have a family. I mean, it's so hard to speak up because you put everything on the line.
Oh, 100%.
But anyway, we love your stories. So thank you for sharing them. Okay, Melina is here. She is from Pure Romance, and we are doing an awesome interview with her. She is going to sit down with us and tell us about their 3 biggest selling toys. And I've even got one here. Can you hear that?
I can hear it.
Oh, that's a vibrator.
I like that.
So Melina, come on in. I am super excited because Melina is here from Pure Romance. She's had an incredible business for 6 years.
Yes.
Oh, it's like registering.
Is it registering?
Yes, this thing needs its own. I can't even shut it off.
It's got a travel lock on it type thing. So
a travel lock on your
so
vibrator.
it does not go through TSA type thing, and nobody has to go through your suitcase. So that one is really good. Yes.
You're kidding. So wait, what is this called?
That one is called our main attraction. It is our most popular seller for the toys because it was designed by a female gynecologist for women by women, and it actually goes right into your vagina wall, and you'll be able to have sexual benefits with it because it has a smaller shaft. So when you have an orgasm, typically what you do is you clench down and you push out.
Okay.
So with this shaft that is super, super small and super skinny, what's going to happen is your pelvic wall is going to clench all the way down on it, causing you to actually work your pelvic floor muscles. So you're doing Kegels while you're orgasming at the same time. So it is an absolutely amazing toy.
You are unbelievable. So I went to a Pure Romance party a while ago, and a couple weeks ago on the podcast, we had said, hey, if anybody, I'm in the market for a new vibrator. If anybody sells them, let me know. And you were like, I do. So we were like, hey, come on the podcast. We want to talk about your products and your business. And people can find you, Pure Romance /Melina.
It's pureromance.com /Melina Dorsey, MELINA DORSEY.
So you sell all kinds of things. You're going to show us 3 of your best sellers. But when people hear Pure Romance, that really means what? Sex toys? What do you guys sell?
Well, typically everybody's saying, oh, you sell those parties. We are so much more than those toys. We sell everything from lotions to potions to bath and beauty products to our foreplay items, all the way up to our intimacy products. So it's array. Actually, our toys are only cover only about 30% of our catalog. We have so much more than toys. So it's all about making you feel comfortable in the bedroom, sexy, however your sexy you might define. So that is always my goal.
A big, intimidating dildo. That's what
Well, we do have one called Mr. DJ, who is our intimidating.
Mr. DJ,
He's called
I
Mr.
need
DJ.
that.
Yes, he is our nice dildo that has a suction cup and everything with it.
A suction cup? What do you even do?
So, and AJ, if you have any questions, jump in here because I have a million. I want to talk to you about 2 recent stories, though, that were in the news because I want your opinion on them. One, did you just see that the scientists have done a whole bunch of research that actually condoms that are out for sale for men are too big, really? That the average size of a guy is like less than 5.2 inches or something. So they now are trying to do more research and customize condoms.
That's actually a pretty good idea because you want to be safe when you do sex, because typically what I do when I do my parties, you want to teach about safe sex. And if your guy is buying a bigger condom than what it is, it's not protecting you or him from any type of STDs or pregnancy. So I think the condom customization is an absolutely brilliant idea.
Yeah, they were basically saying that the men are complaining that the condoms are like falling off.
So sad.
Poor guys.
Yeah, can't you just see all these men? They all buy the Magnum, and you're like, dude,
Right.
you're not Magnum. Let's be honest. Yeah,
That gold wrapper, they just want to have it in their wallet just because, I swear.
Do a lot of men come to your parties too?
Actually, Pure Romance is meant just for women, so it is absolutely not for men for our parties, because we want to make our women feel nice and comfortable that they have a safe spot to talk freely about sex. And sometimes when you leave the men involved, if they have any like, oh, we don't need that, honey, it kind of can ruin it. And then you never know if there's any type of triggers, anything like that are also in the room. So I like to have a fun girls' night in with just your girl best friends, where you're laughing and learning to take control of the bedroom.
Oh, I love that. Okay, over the years, I'm sure you've experienced like all kinds of crazy questions. Like, okay, what's the craziest thing that someone has ever asked you or done at one of your parties?
Okay, so nothing really crazy about what they've done. Okay, there is one story where it was a group of teachers, which I love my teachers. My teachers are my freakiest customers. I swear.
Oh my God,
I swear, because you're around kids all day long. They are a stressor. I'm a single mom with an 11-year-old daughter, so I get it. I don't want to be around mine all the time either. So when you're taking 25 of them, they were my wildest bunch. And I sell lingerie too. So one lady lived right next door to the one that was throwing the party. So she brought a trench coat on, tried on the lingerie, bought the lingerie, and says, okay, ladies, I'm going back next door to her husband. She went out in her lingerie and a trench coat back to her honey at home.
Just purchased lingerie right there.
And cash and carry went over
ready
there.
to go.
So that has been my craziest party story, I think, which is great. And then my craziest thing where I tell my clients that this is not a one-night stand. I'm going to be your consultant for life. If you have a question, please do not hesitate to ask. I've gotten texts and calls at 2:00 in the morning asking me certain things.
Like what? That's amazing.
Well, back in the day, we used to have these two creams where one was called like Booty Ease, and another one was called like a Virgin, and they looked very similar. So it was kind of sort of like, which one does what, and where do I put this wheel? But it was great. She apologized the next morning, and she said her husband got her breakfast in bed. So thank you.
So which one did he put? What, Vagina Ease he put in her butt, or what?
Yeah, the booty ease you put in your butt to help ease the sensation if you're going to try the backdoor action. And then you have the Like a Virgin, which is a 24-hour girl tightening cream that has alum in it, so it's going to swell your mucous membranes to make you feel tighter. Your mucous for 24 hours.
AJ, are you now? AJ was like kind of, I think, a little nervous about this segment because you were saying like you don't feel like you know a lot.
Yeah. Well, first off, I'm 23, and you were saying a lot of 20-year-olds are not really super comfortable, and we think we know a lot about sex, but we actually don't.
Correct.
Like, we're not comfortable. So I think my question would be is, if you have a boyfriend or a significant other, how do you kind of make them feel comfortable and say that they're doing all the right things, but you want to incorporate like a sex tool into your kind of routine?
So if you do have a good man, the way I like to say, or a good partner rather, they're eager to please you no matter what. The thing that lacks usually in any type of couples is the lack of communication, where the women just feel like they cannot say, they don't want to say, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. But it is very important to be communication, because he's going to want to please you, he or she is going to want to please you, and you have to be saying, okay, I like that, not there, but you definitely want to communicate. So if you want to bring a toy into the thing, because typically I always recommend a toy, whether it be a clitoral vibrator for your first toy especially, is because 80% of women cannot achieve an orgasm without some sort of clitoral stimulation. Because we have 8,000 nerves on that little button alone, where is the penis, the whole entire thing from shaft to tip has 2,000. We have 4 times as many on our little clitoris than he has on his whole entire thing. So you do not want to ignore that area. So you want to go ahead and say, hey, honey, my consultant says I need to have a toy, and I'm going to bring in this clitoral one where we have something that looks like a ring. You can put a ring on it. It's called Premiere. And then you can go ahead, while you're having sex, go ahead and have fun while touching your clitoris, because you'll be able to be intimate with him or her, as long as also getting the clitoral function of that. So you can go ahead and introduce that.
Okay.
second thing for introducing a toy into the thing, whereas Dr. Oz says you need to have about 250 orgasms a year, which comes to about 2.
Oh my God! We were going to say 250 toys. I was like, holy shit.
No. Although, toys do a variety of things. But you want to have a lot of orgasms because they increase endorphins. They make you happy. They make you live a longer life. So, not only that, the more you orgasm, the more you're going to want to have sex. So obviously, if your honey is around, you're going to choose him or her over the toy. So it's actually better for the relationship because you're going to keep your libido going by having these constant orgasms.
Okay, what do you think?
I need to talk about these numbers. 250 orgasms a year.
That's not that much.
That's not that much.
It's like 2 a month. It's 2 a week.
That's more than I'm ever. Alone or with my boyfriend. Who knows?
I keep reading all these stories that women are putting like cucumbers in their hoo-has. Have you seen this trend? I was reading this over the weekend.
I haven't seen the trend, but I know lots of people to put things up where they should not. And there are certain materials that are not good for that. Our vaginas are a natural cleaning type aid, and if you're putting things up that have any type of sugar, dairy, or anything like that, that's going to cause yeast infections. It's going to cause all sort of bacteria infections, and you do not want to do that. So you always want to have something that is made for that area, along with a toy cleaner to go with it.
Okay, so you don't recommend putting like a wasp nest in your vagina like that?
Absolutely not.
Or a cucumber.
No cucumbers, no food, nothing like that.
What about all the trends from Gwyneth Paltrow? People are putting like the jade egg up there. Like you into any of that? Or
I saw the eggs, the glitter, glitter type thing. Absolutely not. It's not meant for that. Once again, a lot of the stuff, like we have some lube that is FDA approved. Our toys, again, are premium silicone type thing. It's meant for that area where you're not going to get irritation. You do not want to put anything up that you don't know what's in it. You definitely want to know what the material is in it. And if it's not natural, do not put it up there at all.
I know.
And those eggs type thing, it's basically meant to do those Kegels. You have toys that can do those Kegels for you. You don't want to put any slimy type things or those glitters because, like I said, you're a self-cleaner. It's not meant to be out there. It's going to push it out. You're going to get infections.
I mean, I can't believe I was reading that story, and they were saying, like, the women were actually, like, they take the cucumber, and I guess they peel the cucumber or whatever, they put it in their vaginas, and they'll sleep with it all night long. Supposedly, like, it will absorb nutrients, and it's supposed to give you, like, just a neutral smell. I'm like, who the hell is going to bed with a huge cucumber in their hoo-ha all night?
Absolutely not. One, that's stretching you out. Two, this is not your face where it's going to go ahead and make you have like less baggy eyes in your vagina. It's not that kind of, it's not meant for that whatsoever.
So to make you smell, you can eat pineapples. Doesn't that make your...
Oh, yeah, is that a rumor or is that
That
true?
is actually, basically what you eat will give away what you taste for either the male or the female, any type of thing. So, yeah, pineapple juice does make it a little bit sweet, but if you've had asparagus, it's going to come out in that way. So definitely pay attention to your diet and if you want to smell a little bit fresher.
Okay, tell us some of your other big products here that are best sellers. This one's really cute.
So we have our Coochie. Our Coochie is our, yes, it is our...
These names.
Best seller. The company has been around for 25 years. This has been our best product for 20 of those years, which says something because this is going to keep you from getting any of those razor bumps. This is going to help you from ingrown hairs. This is going to make it super smooth whether or not you're shaving your vagina, whether or not you're shaving your legs. We have one for men that's called Shaves, so they're not shaving with Coochie. But we have one, and it's got a little bit of keratin in it, so it actually is a good leave-in conditioner if you want your hair to smell great as well.
Just put it all over your body.
I know, all over. And then what's the other one you have here? Is this a lube? What's
this one is our playful lubricant. This is called Sensations. Sensations is our nice little warming thing. If you've seen those commercials with the KY jelly, type thing where it's warming sensations. The only thing about KY is they have no expiration date, so you never know what's in them for so much, which is why I love Pure Romance products because they make sure that there's a shelf life and everything like that.
Can we try it?
So I want you to, everybody in here, go ahead and put your hand up just like this.
Okay.
And we're going to go ahead and
Leslie's like, no, I'll stay on the camera.
3. Now I want you to go ahead and take your fingers right here, and I want you to go ahead and rub it, and then I want you to go ahead and take a breath, not a blowable. And then when you're ready, go ahead and take a lick.
You want to lick this?
Lick it. And that...
cotton
candy, yes! So it's great because you don't get the calories and it tastes like cotton candy, but we have so many different flavors. Like we have hot buttered rum, we have cotton candy, we have strawberries and whipped cream. But this is a really good foreplay tool because foreplay ladies, we're not like men who can be ready instantly. It takes about, I want to say roughly about 45 minutes for us to be sexually aroused, and I don't mean your heavy petting throughout the whole entire night. I mean whatever turns you on, whether or not honey is saying I love you, you guys are sexting, whatever that kind of things. You need about 45 minutes before all that blood rushes to your clitoris so you're sexually aroused and you'll be able to achieve an orgasm easier. This right here, Sensations, is a foreplay item where you can go ahead and rub it on honey, and he's going to get nice and warm. You can blow on him, lick, make it taste a lot better. But not only is it for him, it's also used for you. Again, I'm here to keep our vagina clean, happy, and healthy. So this is actually safe for our vaginal area as well. So whatever you just felt will also be felt also inside of you as well, where you can rub it and you're going to feel
That's
it
amazing.
and blow on it.
Oh my
You're
gosh.
really doing great work because I feel like you really are. You know, I think a lot of women are scared to take that step, but it makes such a huge difference in your relationship and for men too. And like just having that open conversation.
It really does. Conversation and communication is so key in any type of thing in the bedroom, and also making you feel comfortable that you're able to do it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sworn off old men, but that was sort of the thing that I liked about old men is they were always cool with like whatever. I think they were over that age where they cared, and they were like, yeah, let's do whatever.
Exactly. And sometimes it could be intimidating bringing certain things, but as long as you have the open communication and just say, honey, I want to be pleased, I want to please you, let's try some new things, it usually should go over 1,000% well.
I want all your products. Tell us again, where can people find you? Where can they buy? You have everything can be bought online too.
Everything
right?
can be bought online, but I'm also running specials where you can go ahead and contact me directly with partiesbymelina@gmail.com.
Okay.
You can also reach me or find my information on www.pureromance.com/Melina Dorsey. And then, of course, go ahead and friend me on Facebook. I love new friends, and I have a private Facebook group, so when you add me, I will put you in that. It's closed. Nobody has to know, but that's where I go over a lot of sexual topics, some fun memes,
awesome.
and lots of stuff like that, because, again, education is very, very important with me when I go ahead and do my parties, and I want to make sure everybody is aware about what our products do, which are fantabulous, but also go home feeling like they're going to accomplish something in the bedroom.
Oh my God, I'm joining that group. I'm going to post like,
Yes!
this is for her friend, but I'm wondering about this sexually. Because my boyfriend before this segment was like, don't mention kindness. I'm like, of course not, hon. I'm not going to, nothing about you.
It is the best. I do have a boyfriend who is 1,000% supportive of this, because
You're
I do
awesome.
help women from everywhere from the bedroom all the way to the bank if you want to be a consultant. Because the one thing about Pure Romance and being a consultant rather than a lot of the other direct sales, which I love and I buy from all my friends who are in direct sales, but you can't just go on Amazon.com and say, what are you going to go ahead and buy? You can't just go to the creepy store on the corner, because nobody's going to know what you're buying and that kind of stuff. So I think it's very important where all these parties you can feel, taste, touch, and get to know these products.
And it's
yourself.
about your health. Like,
Yes.
that's the most important thing.
Yes.
Use it or lose it, as you say.
Sexual love. Yes, it will crystallize.
It's like it's stalagmites and stalactites in that hoo-ha.
Exactly. And who doesn't want orgasms? Because they release antihistamines. If you have allergies, go ahead and throw yourself an orgasm.
Okay, Melina, we love you. Thank you so much for being on the Hey Frase podcast. This was amazing. Shop with her. I'm buying a vibrator from you today.
Yes, we're going to go over different types of vibrators type things, so it's going to be great.
I highly recommend it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Listen in. Live from the nation's cap, pop culture at its best. No need a second guess. Separated from the rest. Entertaining nonetheless. Many times